Hello, good people. It's Tracy, and this is Just Going With It on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I have had a crazy day so far. I'm blaming everything on the moon or the sun. The moon is new, and the sun has released or had released solar flares or a monster storm or... Anyway, it's supposed to be interrupting the internet stuff and anything else. I don't know. From last night until, I guess, a couple of days now. But anyway, my yesterday's video didn't drop until this morning. I have had such a crappy internet connection for the last, yeah. Can I blame that on my provider? Might as well, right? Anyway, do you have your coffee? I do. I'm 3 in. Oh my goodness, my vesicles are almost awake. And it's Thursday. So what do we do on Thursday? Well, let's see. Since I don't have any projects to do or anything, let's do what the internet has done for nearly 2 decades. Let's throw back to something. How about 1980, okay? Sounds good to me. There's a lot of you who are watching who were not even born at that time. But guess what? I was 10 years old. Yeah, I'm old. 38 years ago, I was 10 years old, sitting in Dr. Wilson's 4th grade class. He was a doctor. He wasn't a medical doctor. He was some doctorate in education or something. I don't know. For all I know, it could have been Jim. But, and he made us call him Dr. Wilson. So, I guess he worked hard enough for it. You call him what he wants. And believe it or not, this man, okay, he had everybody numbered in alphabetical order. He gave us a number, and every morning we would shout out our number at some point. I still remember my number, which was 15. I was 15th in the alphabetical order. And why that has stuck with me all of these years, I have no idea. Little things like that, but I can't remember other little things. It happens when you get older, people. Trust me on this. So, we're going to throw back, huh? To 1980. What happened in 1980 when I was 10 years old? Lots of stuff! If you do not know the series, which if you weren't born then, you probably don't. But, if you don't know the series, Dallas, and you don't know who JR is, then you probably don't know who shot him. But that was the question. And in 1980, we found out who shot JR on this series. Why, at 10 years old, was I watching this series? Mom! But it was like a nighttime drama. It was a soap opera that they showed at night. I'm sorry, that's all that it was. And but anyway, we found out who shot JR. Do you know who shot JR? Do you remember? Have you got a clue? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, so we found out who shot JR, and guess what else came out? Post-it notes. I know this is not a big deal to most of the world because you're used to having Post-it notes. But what did we do before Post-it notes? Because in 1980 is when those suckers came out from that 3M company. But anyway, and I have been very dependent upon Post-it notes, especially in the last 20 years, I'd say. They are a part of me. I am a part of them. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, so it sounded funnier in my head, okay? Alright, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head came out. I think I had a Mr. Potato Head. but I really don't remember what happened to it. That's what happened with a lot of my toys and my things. I have absolutely no idea. Okay, so let's see. So Mr. Oh, some of you are going to remember this. Well, maybe more than some. But anyway, Pac-Man came out. Pac-Man, the video game, the joystick, the big game thing that you're at the arcade, and everybody was obsessed with this game. And then the song came out after this, Pac-Man Fever. If you have not heard this song, okay? I was asking my husband about it last night, Dan. And he had like the cassette or something like that, he said, that had all of the video game little songs on them or whatever's. And but Pac-Man Fever, oh my goodness. If you look it up on YouTube, it was like a blast. Everybody was listening to this. Everybody was singing this. Everybody was having a Pac-Man fever. So I thought that was really neat. But anyway, to remember that. And I think in our school, when I was in my elementary school, we were like selling something to try to get tickets in order to be able to play Pac-Man. They had this big machine from the arcade machine brought to the school, and I didn't sell enough, which, you know, at that point I didn't really care, but still, you know, everybody was Pac-Man crazy, okay? So some bad things happened in 1980 that I had forgotten about. And one was that there was a severe heat problem that happened and primarily it was everywhere. But, you know, it was like the south of the United States was really hit hard. And it was the summer of heat. And there was like 1,117 people that passed away. I mean, they died because of this. That is extreme. I mean, that right there is a bad heat wave. I mean, so I don't know if there's been anything quite as bad since then when it came to heat-related deaths. But, you know, I'll have to look that up and see what I can find. But that was, I remember how hot that it was in school before we actually got out of school, because we had a basement level, and in that particular area was the music room, and I remember being in the music room before we got out of school for the summer, and it was incredibly hot. So if I can just imagine. I do remember that. I also remember I was wearing white and green socks. Don't ask. No idea. Anyway, so, and then also something else that happened that wasn't quite nice was that Mount St. Helens erupted. We actually, if I'm remembering what my mother said, we actually had, our visibility was not so great all the way over to Tennessee from Mount St. Helens, which was way on the other side of the United States. Or, you know, the western part is where all of this stuff happened. And on the east side of the United States, we were getting the ash in the air, or at least that's what Mom was saying. I don't particularly remember that part, but I'd say that she can remember stuff that I can't. So, but, and if I'm wrong, it won't be the first time. Anyway, so Mount St. Helens, that was a terrible, that killed like what, 57 people, 59 people. I mean, that's bad. I mean, one death is bad, but that is really bad. And so there was people that had the ash. They were showing the ash on television, as I remember. They They were showing it on their cars, and they were showing it. So that was a really big, bad volcano. And I hope we never see anything like that again, you know, which I know that we have over the decades. But, you know, Mount St. Helens, that was something to me. That scared me. I think that's scared me right out of wanting to be a volcanologist. Anyway, and one more thing that was bad news. Might as well get the bad news out of the way, right? And this is pretty much, you know, still very a soft spot for me. And that was that John Lennon was shot and killed in 1980. And I'm not crying. My eyes are watering. But cue the tears, right? It does break my heart. And I had listened to, well, a lot of the Beatles stuff, because I was, you know, I was 10 years old. I was listening to the radio all the time. I had been listening to rock music since I was like 6. And maybe even longer than that. And John Lennon, it devastated me. It was blaring all over every radio channel or every station. It was just, I mean, and I couldn't believe it. So, I mean, a few years prior to John Lennon passing away, I think it was, what was it, 1978 or something like that. We'll have to throw back to that year. It was when Elvis Presley passed away. And then we have John Lennon. And then I was like, you know, I was just devastated. And I've often wondered if he had lived, being the person that he is, and creating the music that he had, how would music have been? How would it have turned out? Would it have been any different? I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would. Would his music would it have evolved into something? I'm sure it would have. You gotta grow as an artist, right? So, but John Lennon, it just really upset me. And so he passed away, shot and killed in, I think it was December of 1980. So it was kind of towards the end of the year. So not a great start to the next year. But anyway, some other performers that were really popular at that time was David Bowie, Diana Ross, The Cars, AC/DC. I have to look at my cheat sheet. Of course, Michael Jackson and the Police. And believe it or not, 1980. That's when camcorders came out. Yes. We didn't have one. They costed way too much. But camcorders, the big chunky things that you'd hold like this, had a view, you know. I'm not kidding. They came out in 1980, and so did fax machines. And you know what? Fax machines are still used to this day. So that was that, and they're needed. And many doctors' offices still use fax machines, and also other businesses. If Foxy, get down off of here. Go. My cat interrupting. Anyway, so now, and of course, Queen was still rocking at that time. Freddie Mercury, oh, I love thee. Anyway, one of their tunes that was quite popular, because I think they dropped an album that year, was Another One Bites the Dust. And if you don't know that song, look it up. Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. It was, everybody was listening to it. Everybody was listening to it. Blondie was real popular. She had Call Me. Call Me. Anyway, look that up too. It's some good classic rock is what they say that it is now. I'm old. Okay. We get it. Oh. So what else happened? What else happened? Ronald Reagan defeated Jimmy Carter. Anyway, I know that was not really, nobody cares anything about that. Okay, so the movies that were really popular. Star Wars 5, I think it was. The Empire Strikes Back. Everybody loves the Wookiees. Is the Wookiees? Don't pay any attention to me. Pay no attention to the man back there pulling the strings. Anyway, let's see. 9 to 5 with East Tennessee's own Dolly Parton. If you haven't seen that movie, you should, because I laughed. It was funny. Coal Miner's Daughter came out in 1980. Sissy Spacek played Loretta Lynn's part. And, you know, I think I've maybe seen... I don't even think I've seen half of that movie. I don't really know why either. Whatever. But it was very popular in the theaters. So that was also a wonderful time. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about, and I need to know if you all have used this, if you have done this, if you have obtained this in any way, because I want one now, just because I'm talking about it. What came out in 1980 was the famous Rubik's Cube. Did you have one? Have you had one? Could you get it to, you know, solve the entire cube puzzle without taking it apart and putting it back together? I never could solve that puzzle. I had a Rubik's Cube. I liked it. It passed a lot of time. Never could solve it, and now I would like to have one. I really would. Just I think just to set up, because you know Tracy ain't gonna be able to solve that thing. But I had cousins that could solve it and friends that could solve it, and I'm just like, how do you do this stuff? If you've looked up on YouTube and saw some of the competitions that they have where they're solving it with one hand. Really? So that, to me, that's incredibly amazing. I can't even do it with 2 hands, 2 feet. Just so. Anyways, I would really like to have a Rubik's Cube, and I know I'm going to forget that. I'm not going to put it down on my list, and I will never have one. Anyway, so, also I had a lot of people that were asking me about my 2018 calendar for Granger County. It's actually a calendar of Granger County Historic Treasures, and it's a project of the Granger County Historic Society. I am beating this thing to death. I'm not kidding. See, this, I got this last year at the Granger County Tomato Festival, and it has drawings. It's really neat, and it's for Granger County, and, you know, it talks about Granger County, and I love it. But I am beating it to death, and I'm using it, but I'm trying not to write in it. It's weird, right, for me to say something like that. It's yours. Use it. Write in it. Do your thing. But I'm wanting to get another one. So I guess I'll have to pick one up at the Granger County Tomato Festival. Is anybody going to be going to that? If you are, let me know. I want to say hello to you. We'll be there. I think that some of my friends that are area YouTubers and myself, we're going to be doing a meet and greet somewhere out there. So we will figure all that stuff out and tell you later. I'm going to go because I've got chores to do, dishes to wash, floors to sweep, things to do, and I'm going to look up some of that Rubik's Cube stuff on YouTube because maybe I'll remember to put it on my list. I don't think so. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. I thank you for putting up with me. I hope that you join me here again tomorrow. And watch out for the sun flare, something, whatever, interrupting our internets. And I will see you tomorrow, okay? I love you. Bye.